Hey, babies, it's Red Summer.
And it's Hanifah Walida.
And we are your gay aunties. We're back.
Yes, we are. This is our
Yes,
second Sunday brunch.
Yes, I'm so excited about Sunday
Yes.
Brunch, and especially we have a fantastic guest with us.
Yes, we do. And if you were a Sunday Brunch patron, you would see her and not just hear her. Okay?
True.
But we're so excited this Sunday morning because we have the one, the only, the incomparable, amazing spoken word poet, amazing writer, amazing performer. Me as a performer, I personally am a fan as you as a performer. Staceyann Chin.
Hey. This applause is so black. It's so black woman. It's so black. Black women will just applaud. Black people. You get on a plane to Jamaica. 25 times you do it in 1 year, and every time the plane lands, people be clapping.
Exactly.
Yeah. They just applaud the pilot like, oh yeah, you got us here.
Yeah, that always, I'm like, really?
It happens in Africa too, right?
It happens. I would say at least every plane I've been in, there's at least one fool that's like, I'm so happy we landed.
Really?
Yes.
I'm on a plane to, black, only black people. I don't see why people do it.
I think white folks who don't travel much do it. No, seriously.
No, like when I'm going to Seattle, I don't have that. But when I'm going to Atlanta,
see, we understand our blessings.
Of course.
That's the thing.
Black people know that every journey don't end with a breath still in you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So we lucky every time we landed. Are we still breathing? Woo!
We're still breathing. We're here.
Because we were scared the whole flight.
And me, listen, I have my little ritual on the plane, and then that's it. I just turn on the TV, I read a book, and call it a day. I was like, once I'm up, ain't nothing I can do about it anyway, so what's going to happen, going to happen.
Yeah,
But coming down is another situation.
When I'm flying by myself, I think I do different things from when I'm flying with the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I keep my eyes really open. I'm focused on what she's doing. I'm like positioned weirdly so she can lean on me or whatever. I'm playing.
Bazori is probably like a champion. She got miles. She probably got more miles than most people.
She's pretty good. She's pretty good. But you call yourself the gay aunties, so you didn't call yourself the gay sisters. So there's a way that this show is focused on the caring of children, or at least caring for those who are behind us in the journey of life.
Ooh, that is so well put, and we are so going to use that as a snippet for later on.
I'm typing that up right now.
But there's something wonderful about we just did our last living room protest. The kid and we did this thing. Anyway, so
for those who don't know, check out Staceyann Chin's timeline, whether on Facebook or Instagram. What we're talking about is her daughter Zori. She and her, they get together and they be talking to do, and it's such a beautiful thing. You kind of watch vicariously. Mm-hmm. You as a mother and she as a daughter kind of grow together around worldly issues,
and we knew each other. So you guys knew me before, like I was anybody's mother. I was, and I was kind of like, as we say in Jamaica, live and direct as a person who didn't have a kiddo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's a different experience. When you have to care for someone else, when your priority has to be caring for the other person or caring for the other body, it's a very different experience in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't know if I don't want to posit it as better or worse, because I'd be looking at y'all without children going like, Jesus Christ, like, you know what I mean? I would love to go to that joy party without having to pay somebody else $100 to stay home. So before I buy a drink, before I buy somebody else a drink, I gotta come up with $100. Before I take a cab, before I pay for parking in New York City, I gotta pay someone to be home with the child, and then I can go out. So if I'm on a long date and it's not particularly sparking joy, let's say,
this date costing me $100.
Money is going on. It could,
you better amuse me or something.
This date could cost me $20 or $100, and really, I don't like the way it's going. So let's make it a $20.
Oh my gosh! When children can be your excuse to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, the Dave Chappelle skit where he's like, all right, wrap it up.
having dates that they're like, oh God, I gotta get that. Well, you know what it is? Because of the dating online situation. Then, we don't know. I felt like in my 20s, I was with people, I was like, oh, I thought I liked her, but I don't.
Yeah.
And now, I feel like I don't really go on dates online. I've been on like a one or two of them, but not really. And so... if I'm going on a date with somebody, I probably know that I like them already and know who they are and know I'm going to enjoy it.
I kind of miss them days, boy, because I'm really over the mystery. Like, I mean, I've been trying to do the online thing.
Number one, I had an online dating situation, and the person was like, I get proof that you're Staceyann Chin. I'm like,
what?
What do you mean?
Bitch, look at my picture. I ain't no lookalike.
What do you mean?
Oh, but because people will set up a whole page pretending to be somebody else.
That's all the
Remember
reason
that
not to
happened
be
to me,
online.
Hanifah?
Say again?
That happened to me. This girl had a whole page. She was posting poetry. She was adding friends. And then this girl came up to me and was like, hey, like, we're friends on whatever platform. And I was like, oh, I don't have a page on
a
this.
dating platform?
Yeah, she was like, yes, you do. And showed me her phone and showed me our conversation.
Welcome to the 21st century.
What is it? Talk about catfish.
Right. So even though it feels weird as the person that's being told, prove it, like,
yeah,
someone who has had a whole page created, someone pretending that they were them, like, I can see why people are skeptical.
And then the other thing people say is, why you on here? You like Staceyann Chin, you like,
yeah, don't you get pussy,
lesbo,
like, really, yeah, exactly.
Lesbo extraordinaire, like, why are you not, something must be wrong with you. Do you have, like, something that, is just whatever? And I would be like, listen, everybody struggles. I mean, maybe the only person, maybe Serena don't struggle to get a date. You know what I mean?
And she got her permanent date, so she good. Honestly,
I'm just saying though, like, everybody struggles with the notion of finding partnership unless you on lockdown already. And I do know there are people who are already on lockdown who might be even struggling themselves.
Yeah, and we get letters about that too. But
and she just landed the plane again.
It's like the whole group. I've never been a groupie person, and maybe because a lot of the bands that I've in, for some reason, we attract a lot of straight girls, and for me, I've never been attracted to straightness, and whiteness, honestly, and unfortunately, a lot of bands I've been in, that's who come to the show, but that's okay, So I've never really been able to indulge. Not say I haven't, but I haven't really been able to indulge in the groupie thing. Shoot, the closest I ever got to some groupie thing is, wood tent.
I just say wood tent pussy at
wood tent pussy, which is code for no.
My God, like the language of Mishfest. I wonder if it'll disappear with the disappearance of the Michigan Women's Music Festival.
Well, I just said wood tent pussy. I mean. Well, it is what it is.
It is an interesting phenomenon, this groupie thing. Like, when I was young, I was so principled. I was like, oh my goodness, the power dynamic between someone on stage and someone not on stage is just really not something that you want to fuck with, So everybody who, came and left their little drawers in envelopes and plastic bags.
Oh, wow, they got really creative with you.
Yeah, I mean, people thought it was creative, but it was pretty common. I mean,
in envelopes, like with the address
or
and number,
plastic bags or whatever, or somebody left their number written on the drawers. I mean, people. Listen, in my life, I have been lucky enough to have the most creative commands ever on the planet. However, as I got older, then I became an older person, and most of the groupies were, I wouldn't say most of them, but very many of them are young. Mm-hmm. So you 21 years old and you coming up to me, I'm 46 years old.
Yeah.
I am not interested in, like, exploiting your, exploration period. Like, oh my God, this woman is out there being on stage. Number one, I am rarely, and I say rarely because I don't want, like, some kind of, like, moment to come up where, like, some 21-year-old's like, yeah, you were attracted to me. But I cannot remember one incident after I turned 30 that I was attracted to someone who was, that much younger than me.
Yeah.
I
Oh, I
do
mean,
have a
20's totally.
story.
Huh?
I do have a story.
Oh, please do tell.
I feel like I was in New York, so it was something for you people. I feel like, oh my God, I just forgot her name. It was a performance.
That's probably good.
No.
Oh, not the person.
No, not the person.
Okay, because should I be onto a different life now? I don't want to be associated with you.
Shelly Nicole was performing.
Okay.
Shelly
Nicole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I love Shelly Nicole.
Amazing.
Who doesn't?
After the show, one of my friends that came with me was like, "Oh my God, Staceyann, blah blah blah," and you were like, "Baby, no, no, baby." What are you, 20?
And the thing is, I can see a face, I can see everything. Just shutting it down. Let's just shut it down right now.
You were like,
take your hopes and dreams from your back pocket and get the hell out of this dressing room.
I am 46, and I must say that there's one person I've dated where she was 12 years my junior. I'm 46 now, but it happened. I mean, it's recent, so she wasn't 20.
Yeah, my stop has been 10 years. Junior, but over that, I don't know if I can flow. But I'm even finding that 10 years.
So you couldn't date someone 12 years younger than you now?
I'm 48 now.
Yeah, but you couldn't date somebody who's 35?
I'm not shutting it.
It's different when you get older, like, because then you can be like, but I don't know if I could date someone who's 30 now that I'm almost 50.
Yeah, 30, hell no. Actually, no.
But I don't know, but I'm saying, like, as people get older, the power dynamic gets less. Like, a 40-year-old and a 7-year-old, I don't know if the power dynamic is the same. Because, number one, you're 70, you might not even know how to use your cell phone at that point. And you might need
but that's my point.
That's my point. To figure out what the new device is, to help you with it. I'm needing people now, I'm 46. I'm needing someone to, like, figure out. It's like, oh my God, there's this thing you could do on Facebook. Oh, how do you do the Facebook Live? Oh, Jesus, how do you, like...
And I'm sure a lot of young kids are like, Facebook, girl, you better get off of that.
That's what I'm saying. Or IG, or Snapchat, or whatever the hell they're on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But,
Hanifah knows that I am totally a technological auntie.
Red is the true auntie of the two.
I don't know how to do any of it. I have never posted a live or anything because I can't figure it out.
But, that power dynamic, actually, that is definitely the case, especially if someone's in their 20s. Like, that's why it's unattractive. It's like, we're not even partners in this journey together, right? But it's also a cultural thing, and that's where the 10-year thing, like, even my last girlfriend, even though she was 10 years younger than me, culturally, she was on point. So she can sing songs from my teenagehood, even though she was a child.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, those little moments where a song comes on, you like, and you both react the same way because you have the same memory, the same muscle memory, the same, you have, you know what I mean?
Experiential memory.
Yeah, experiential memory. Like, that is something, for me, I love about being in a relationship with someone who's closer to my age, you know? And the young thing, or the younger thing, I mean, the value points are you just lose points. It's not a dead issue, but
it's kind of like dating someone from a different time era begins to feel like dating somebody from a different culture, because they have a different culture.
Oh yeah, totally.
10 years behind you, it's a different culture. 20 years behind you, it's a different culture. And I feel like the greater the number of years, the wider the leap between the two cultures. And I don't know if I'm skilled enough to make the leap. And, so I don't know. I know I couldn't date someone who's in their 20s now. Like, absolutely. I mean...
Old soul or not, I'm good.
But 30s, maybe.
Could you date or could you fuck?
Like, I'm one of those people who... In this time in my life, I do struggle to differentiate between the two. Only because, like, I got a kid, and that's what I'm saying. Like, so much to move around in my life to facilitate intimacy that, I
have like $100 booty call is not as attractive as.
No, absolutely not. The plane just like, I don't know if it left or it landed, but there's some drop. There's some like great movement in like the essentially that's it. And I mean, and when you wrap up stuff like, oh, there's a chance that the person might wake up in the room with your kid. I mean, like, you know, if you're a little careless, which, you know, human beings are sometimes, person might end up sleeping over. She might see the kid in the morning. I don't know. I mean, like, my kid is almost 8 now, which means that in 10 years she's gonna be almost 20.
Wow,
so
yeah,
it's like you blink and they just sprout up.
So like, you know, in my brain, it's like, okay, I'm looking ahead to her own years, in her teen years and her 20 years. So I mean, I look at you and I'm just jumping ahead to see the Zuri.
Yeah.
And if I can see Zuri in you, then it definitely kills all libido inclinations.
It's like,
well, I definitely can't date anybody in their 20s.
It's like, if you can be my
20s.
Exactly. If you can be my daughter's big sister, then something that just don't. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And so maybe I'm more inclined to date someone who could be my kid's aunt.
Oh, okay.
You know, so maybe I do need a gay auntie for my kid to date, but not, you know, not necessarily like a gay sister for my kid.
Yeah.
I mean, just talking about Zuri. I love, because I remember when you were in this space, like, I want to have a child by all means necessary.
You mean when I was sperm hunting?
Yeah, when you sperm hunting. But, you know, putting that into, you know, a work of art with, you know, with Mother Struck, you know, what was that process, you know, like transferring your actual experience into this work of art?
What was it like? You know, I've done that my whole life. You know, I came to being an activist and an artist and a rabble-rouser and a resistor and a dissenter because things were not the way that I would like them to be in my own life. You know, I would love to say, like, oh my God, I saw Hanifah being mistreated, and all of a sudden I was moved to speak for Hanifah. But it was definitely infinitely more selfish than that. I had my own journey out of Jamaica as a queer person, and then I came to America to seek some kind of personal, like, sexual freedom, and then discovered I was black. Because, you know, in a black country, if you're light skinned, you know, you kind of occupy the space of like whiteness there. And so in some ways, I mean, it's a lot more complicated than I'm oversimplifying. But essentially, you know, these post-colonial countries, you know, they value whiteness too.
Yes.
And so there's a way that being mixed kind of like made me occupy a certain kind of like valuable, privileged space. And then when I came here and discovered my blackness, I was like, holy fuck, I mean, like, this is crazy. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna, like, you know, I don't hear anybody talking about like that lesbian commune in Nigeria. So like, I gotta figure out how to be here and live here and make a life for myself, make a voice for myself. And I just had to like find a way to speak out against all this anger I was feeling. And I also moved here in August, and then, you know, by September, October, I was like belting out poetry because just the weather changed, people changed, and you know, New York, New York in the summer is like, woo, everybody's sexy, everybody loves everything, blah blah blah. And then
wintertime, I don't even see your eyes.
The wintertime, nobody's talking to you. Everybody's moving fast. Things get expensive. Now, you can't just be outside in the park or wherever. Everywhere you are, you got to pay for it because you can't be sitting in the people's restaurant without ordering something. So then, you know, you're either in the house that you either don't have, can't afford, if you're homeless, or if you're undocumented, like I was undocumented and, you know, wrestled with, like, you know, issues of homelessness when I just came.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, I just got to stop you there. One, I didn't know that. And two, what was it like? Because you said that you dropped down and then hit the stage and running, like making yourself, exposing yourself in such a way and still being undocumented.
Well, I mean, I didn't necessarily talk about being undocumented because most people, I mean, I admire these people who are able to speak of an undocumented identity with such kind of like power and force while they are undocumented. I mean, it requires so much courage because the arm of this the government is like the most powerful, you know, kind of like organization, entity, power structure in the country. And when the government comes to get you and like kicks you out, there's nothing you can do. I mean,
They're
people
the
can
last
like
stop.
lobby,
They're the last buck.
but nobody can kind of come and bring you back. You know, there's no recourse. You can't call Canada to help you. You can't call, you know, England to come and talk to America. Like, America is where the buck stops. And so the risk is like great. So I never spoke about it at all. I spoke about my queer identity and why it is that I was here. And, you know, queer people in the North love to rescue some queer stray from somewhere else. So the minute I started talking about that, then there was like a lot of listening ears for that. And for a while I spoke primarily about my queer identity. So I talk about like, okay, chasing a straight woman. Oh my God, how eating pussy is good. How love, you know. I came from Jamaica where everybody was straight and maybe curious. Who else I was going to date? I was the only out one.
Yeah.
So everybody was
That's
like
true,
straight, and so you were like, okay. And even those of they who eventually came out as queer, at the time they didn't necessarily identify as queer. They were like straight women who were curious.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, those of you, I don't know if you went to like all women's college. There's a bunch of them there too.
Yeah.
Whatever.
What
But
they call them, lugs or something? That lesbian until graduation.
Until graduation.
Yes. Or bi now and gay later.
Yeah. Bye now, okay, later.
You know, but these, you know, but and I think it's amazing that young people now have created a language that holds everybody. Like, I mean, queer is a word that maybe if you lick pussy one time, you know, you fit in the queerness. You know what I mean? Or if maybe one day you might have an interaction with a vagina, and you have a vagina yourself. Whatever. It's like, it's the word queer.
It's all encompassing.
However problematic it is for those of us who need the L to be in there and spoken of and shouted, and we need an L flag, and we need the L word, and we need the L and the L and the L. Like those of us who are deeply involved with the L, those of us who knew it early and feel like it's a political identity that still needs a lot of fighting for. It's a bit of a struggle for us, but I do believe that there's some merit to people who aren't 100% sure, and that certainty might be compromised by internal homophobia, or it might be compromised by a whole bunch of shit, you know, their own feelings about it. Like, even women who were sexually molested or sexually assaulted, lots of women, I've met a lot of women who are like, I'm gay because I don't like men. And I don't necessarily know if that's a gay identity.
Yeah,
like,
because you don't like men?
I'm gay because I love women.
Women, yeah, exactly. Yeah. On the positive, not in reaction
but
to...
I believe the queer as a word gives these women or these people who have had like negative experiences around their sexuality to kind of like feel safe and held and present.
And women can offer that, but they also can offer what you ran away from. You know what I'm saying? You can still experience abuse. You can still experience bad sex. You can still experience all that.
And I want to make it clear that I'm not saying that there's something like, you know, that all of us who are queer have this history. I'm just saying that for people who like have like a little bit of internal homophobia and don't want to say I'm gay. Yeah. Like, they can kind of have an umbrella where they can kind of, like, be a little bit under it. I mean, for the first year of being gay in Jamaica, I wasn't entirely sure that I was gay. I liked women, but I also had pleasant experiences with men before, and so it was a little confusing. And my idea, my dearest gay aunties, was to come to New York City to have such an overtly gay summer that I was going to be disgusted by the gayness. So much so that I was going to come home straight and ready to participate in a life of heteronormativity.
Really? That was your process?
So I came for a summer before I moved here. I came for a summer before, like the summer before I graduated.
To dip your toe in the water.
The summer before my last year in college. I came here. And I was going to be like, yes, I'm gonna go and have the guest summer, and then I'm gonna come home to the sensibility of my own life. I'm gonna go home.
Oh, so you were gonna get it out
So I
of
was
your
gonna get it out of my
my
system. You know, like what is that? That religious culture where they go rumspringing or rumspringer.
Oh no, you're saying the Amish.
It's the
when they
Amish.
have like a
They
year
have
or so
like
to
a
go
year where they
buck
go
wild,
out
and
buck
then
wild, they come back and they can be like really good Amish people because they have done everything, and there's no more curiosity about it. And I mean, I think it works for like the people who are just only slightly curious but really like the life that they were born into. But then there's the others like me.
And me.
There you go. So when I came to New York, I was going to be like, okay, I'm going to go where these gay people are. And even my own internal homophobia before then thought that, okay, these gay people, you know, they're crazy. You know, the kind of life that they want to live is not the life I want to live. And they're like on TV and they're like swinging from chandeliers and fucking their aunties and their sisters and their cousins all over the place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and observe these people in their natural habitat.
Observe. Not participate.
I fully intended to participate as a kind of sacrifice. As a kind of deep sacrifice of my very principled, you know, inner self. And girl, I came into New York and I saw all of that color and I met some boy in the Stonewall Inn, some white boy. And I shouldn't say white boy because I might be misgendering him or her or they at this point. Because he was dressed in full sequin wear. And he had like full makeup on and way more mascara than I thought sensible and eyeliner, so there was a little bit of like raccooning going on when he was talking to me in the dark. But I was so inspired by let's say but he spoke of himself as he said, I'm a gay man, I like gay men, you know, I'm a gay man who likes to wear dresses. So you know, I'm trying to hold all of the ways in which conversations work around identity right now. There's a way that people, as soon as we see a male body dressed in traditional female wear, we assume a kind of transgenderedness, and I want to hold that, but I also want to hold what this person said to me and called himself him. So all of that to preface all of that. So now this man said to me, oh my God, where are you from? And I was like, oh, Jamaica. I'm a little fucking gin and tonic. Just sipping it because, you know, I don't want to drink it too fast because next thing you know, I'll be like, end up on the floor like fucking this gay man in a sequin dress, you know?
Exactly.
Because, you know, alcohol is also loose life living, you know? So I was there and I was like sipping because I stumbled into the Stonewall Inn. Just walking through the
you didn't know, did you know?
No,
wow.
I had no idea what it was, but I went in and this man is like drinking and he said, do you want a drink? And I'm like, He says, I'm not into you. So I can buy you a drink. I ain't gonna molly you, baby. So he gave me a drink and I had my little drink and sipping it, and he says, where you from? I said, I'm Jamaican. He goes, oh God, I had a Jamaican lover once. He had a big old dick. He wanted to fuck me every day. I'd be in a wheelchair if I kept up with that big old Jamaican dick. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I didn't know, my whole
shit got blown.
But there was something amazingly affirming and beautiful, and you know, about him talking about like this man's penis, like it was the greatest thing in the world, but it was also the greatest challenge, and it was the greatest thing in the world, but it was the greatest challenge, and it was the greatest thing in the world, it was the greatest challenge, and it echoed with me about this, my own identity. And when I walked out of there, I knew I wanted to come out of this, you know, living. And then I walked into the Oscar Wilde bookstore. Do you remember Oscar Wilde bookstore?
Oh, wow.
And then I went into the different lives.
I like that you just followed your nose. It's like, I'm just going to stumble into this building.
But you know, one person in the Stonewall Inn might have said something to me like, there's a bookstore over there, it's gay. And then you remember Christopher Street used to be mad gay before, like, the straight.
The Village, you know, when did you arrive? What year did you arrive?
1997.
All right, just say 19 something. But the Village was the hub, not just for queer life, but at that time in the 90s, for all the hip hop kids, all the poets, everything was happening in the Village,
and so
East and West.
And people were like mad chit chatty, and it wasn't so.
Yeah.
like, now, like, heteronormative white people are moving into these spaces and taking up space and, like, forcing so now the pair is too loud, and now people are too loud, and parties are too loud, and, like, gay people talking about sex is too much in the streets, and so all of these, like, noise ordinances, and, they're trying to quiet and clean up and do all this shit about cleaning up all these neighborhoods that we built and made hip. Anyways, so then I walked into, and I read this story about these two little Montana lesbians who were, who were gay.
Really
I was here for research, man.
Yeah.
I was researching. So I read this story about these two little Montana lesbians, and they were so, secretively, like, having this very torrid love affair. And then they decided that they wanted to come out of the closet. And so they were like, yes, they're going to tell the town that they're gay. And they were very afraid. And then they told the whole town. And the town says, we don't like the gayness, but we love you. And they threw them a parade. And I was inspired to go home and come out.
That sounds like some really good fiction.
I was like, yo, I'm going home to Jamaica to come out. I don't want to be in no fucking closet. I'm going to be out, and they're going to throw me a motherfucking parade. And, that's the last thing she wrote.
Yeah. So I'm glad you came back and stayed, because
for sure, yeah.
Because that plan was as earnest as it might have appeared in the beginning. No.
And that
but,
yeah. I mean, and that's where I think it's important for us to have, like, queer voices that are brown and that come from the spaces, the varying spaces outside of heteronormative whiteness, outside of, like, white narratives.
That's a nice little segue, girl. Hope this comes around the wrong way. Anyway, if you can't read it, it's backwards on the screen.
I see it.
Crossfire, baby.
Crossfire.
Oh,
you read it.
All right.
Oh, Crossfire.
Crossfire.
My latest book. Buy it. Support Black women.
Well, fuck the reviews then, because we she got a lot of good reviews, y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Great ones.
I can't read. Edwidge Dantigat, Eve Ensler, Walter Mosley, Teak Milan, Sonia Sanchez, Roseanne Cash, Corinne Jean-Pierre. Lots of gay people, lots of straight people.
Exactly. Thumbs up. But I know that this work, because we're talking, we're trying to, we can't fit, your life and experience in this little bit of episode. But Crossfire is it's past works. Yeah. It's like it's a collection basically. So is there new work in it, or basically you went into the archives?
No,
okay.
It's there are poems in there that were written when I was 25 years old.
Wow. And
there are poems that were written this year.
Nice.
So you get a nice cross section of.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, there's like right now the poem that's kind of going around is Tsunami, about Black women in the Me Too movement. There's Raise the Roof that talks about, like, Black people and the killing of our bodies and our relationship with the power structure in America. There's Not My President, which is like in this last year before we get this man out of our consciousness, is really kind of making its way, making waves a little bit. So, and those poems are all like in the last 2 years or so.
And how is the because listen, there's spoken word or there's performance. And then there's the written word. And there are very few people who can do both. Some people, I love to read their stuff, but please don't get on stage. Love you. Yeah. And people who are amazing performers, but translated to the page, And one thing I appreciate about you is the balance. It really is a rare, and it's a gift to be able to perform good work as opposed to just being a good performer with eye work. You know what I mean? So
that's quite the compliment. Thank you, Hanifah. I appreciate that coming from you.
But it's not so much a compliment as the truth. You know what I mean? And I'm a fan of performers. And I also
understand what it requires.
I understand
to hold an audience.
To hold an audience, to articulate what you need to articulate, not just with the word, but with your voice, with the dynamics in your voice, with your body, how to use the space on the stage, all of that.
And beyond the stage.
And beyond the stage. Thank you.
Staceyann will climb up on the thing. Walk on your table.
It's like, did you hear me?
I love that. I love that. The Staceyann Chin impression. That's amazing.
But we've both seen you enough times to know. But so that and I think that Crossfire is one of those pieces that if you've never seen Staceyann on stage, you can read and feel the energy. You know what I mean? It comes off of the page, and that for me is important because honestly, I just read, when it comes to poetry on the page, a lot of times I'm about the grades because I kind of have an expectation. But a lot of newer spoken word artists or actually, I'm a big fan of Tasha as well. But a lot of young poets like, I got a poetry book. I'm like, go on, girl, let me. Seriously.
But maybe had I written had I published those poems that only the poems when I was young. I mean, people are at different points in their career, and I get what you're saying. I mean, but I feel like what I have been the beneficiary of is I've been in the game for a really long time.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've been privy to a lot of voices that might have influenced how I grew as a performer, how I grew as a writer. So, I had a lot of like amazing experiences with different writers. I was reading a lot. We came out of the tradition where we were reading when we were performing. We weren't just like trying to get on.
Yeah.
Number one, we didn't have like a public platform like this that we could just like, you're going to go, you do one good performance and it goes viral and then you have a career. We had to go from venue to venue. I know I've seen you in Chicago Red Summer. I've seen you in
wherever.
Michigan. We've seen each other in Baltimore. We've seen each other in New York. We had to take these poems from venue to venue to venue, and they weren't being like recorded and like shared online because we didn't necessarily have that same platform.
But you're hitting on a point that, but we did have as community, and there's something about momentum, the momentum around your own personal craft, and the momentum behind that craft to push it forward, having that community to help you again, shape your craft, but also sound the alarm, and I don't know that I mean, listen, I think all artistic communities have that. They are just that. They are communities, but I don't think it's really stressed enough how important that is for young artists to have community. And I think, to your point, that now you can just pop up a camera, play a guitar, or spit your stuff. But it's kind of an isolated experience.
And there's beauty in that too. We're not saying that you don't need that, but we also know that you have got to, you got to get to the place where there's something wonderful about what is created when, records were called records because they were like, it was a record of something that happened.
A moment in time, a capture of a moment in time.
To record it, to hand it out. Like, people recorded the thing because it was a thing that happened between people. And those venues that like C.C. Carter created in Chicago, those venues that you and I often did it, like New York and Poets Cafe, just
Fez,
being there.
Fez back in the day was a big one.
Because it's not just about the performance. It was like, for me as a young writer and performer, the New York and Poets Cafe, you would spend all night listening to other people's work, and then you would get up on the mic late at night and do your little poem.
And homie in the back will let you know that shit's whack or not.
Yes, and then at the end of it, we go and have like $2 eggs. You know what I mean? And talk about like, whatever. And then it was just always, and we met and did things. And there was a way that my work was just never this thing that I was creating by myself and trying to sell by myself. It belonged to a community. And that community, like, forget about it. Like when Russell Simmons came looking for, interesting voices or whatever voices he needed to complete this like UN of, presentation that he was doing on HBO or on Broadway. Like, it wasn't because he saw a recording of me and liked it. It was because he spoke to people in the community who said, you got to talk to this young sister from Jamaica. You got to see this sister from Jamaica. You got to see this young lesbian from Jamaica. You got to see this girl. Oh, she does this interesting thing on stage. That's kind of what it comes from. Like, people who saw you and your work. It wasn't just like, oh, they saw a recording of you performing a song, and then it was like they talked to.
I got signed based on word of mouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
What people are saying, like a community, and because now it don't cost nobody nothing to click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
click
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and share.
Yeah.
But back then it cost somebody something to lay their own opinion on the line to say, oh yeah, I saw her and it was really good, and I can vouch that what she does is beyond a kind of constructed thing on stage that you just, or in a room that you can kind of mix the sound.
And also the idea of sharing, it was a more tangible. It was
Yes,
sharing
yes.
was a conversation,
Sharing was
all
actually
out,
sharing.
all out conversation.
Yeah.
Yo, so I
Mhm.
went to New York
Mhm.
and
Yeah, you gotta come see this chick. You
and
gotta
like
come.
when she said da 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 da,
And then the
da, da,
conversation
yeah.
was like, but can she do more than one
Well,
poem?
poem is
Can she do more than one
Yeah,
song?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then they could be like, oh yeah, because I saw her at the New Rican, and I saw her at the National Poetry Slam, and then I saw her this, and I saw her that.
And then I saw her on the corner.
And then-
Like I
yeah.
remember, no, because when we did the boom, this is back in the early 1990s, but when we did the Boom Poetic, we did some shit where we just set up shop. We would hit a corner and just pop.
Mhm.
No warning, no flyers, just start.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
in other words, you
So your
utilize the
performance
city.
had to survive
I-
more than one kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking too that like we had to get up and make our way to the places to experience the thing.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right?
Yes.
So Cece setting up powwow on the south side of Chicago
Mhm.
like was vitally important because most of the queer spaces were on the north side where queer spaces existed.
Mhm.
And so for powwow to exist on the south side of Chicago and to be accessible to where Black women were living and not having to,
Travel,
to get
across town.
transportation, right, across town.
For young queer
Like,
people
that
who
was-
didn't have no transportation.
that was revolutionary, and it was always on a bus line. It was always like right there where people could get to it because it was intentional.
But that
people
powwow
had to
spot.
leave their homes, right? They had to make their way to those spaces and have that experience together. So I could turn to the person next to me and be like, "What the fuck did Staceyann just say? Oh my God!" Like my head is right. But we're here in this experience at the same time. When I'm just on my phone.
But but that's where I met you. That's how I met Cece. That's how I met Nina J. That's like I mean
Let me see,
Jackie
J.
Robin, Jackie Anderson.
Yeah.
Like I mean
R.I.P.
I can like, but that's just one venue. We're not even talking about the other venues that were created by like Kurish. And that's just one city. We're not even talking about what was happening in Providence.
Yes.
What was happening in New York City. What was happening in like
In the Bay
Atlanta,
Area,
in
yes.
the Bay Area. Like, and that's just so all these people are like, how you know all these people? Because I was going from spot to spot, and because they were going from spot to spot. Some of the people from Chicago, I didn't even meet them in Chicago.
That being said, community is not always in your city.
No.
The community becomes your community of like minds, of like creators. You know what I mean? Creatives. Yeah. So it's you're right, and you get
I
started.
lived in New York at a time.
Say again.
Because people thought I lived in New York for a time because I was there with you all so much.
Listen, and I mean, one of my favorite writers, Erna Broadbell. She wrote. She keeps saying to me when I see her and if you don't know Erna Broadbell, you should look up Erna Broadbell and read her shit. But she always said to me, we have to touch flesh, so when the spirit leaves us, we have something to remember. Ooh. I mean, like, she always said to me, let's touch flesh before the spirit gone. I mean, it's just so simple. But the people I know from online, I'm not saying that those relationships aren't valuable. They are, especially for those of you who are isolated and don't have even this podcast might be so amazingly a lifesaver to some people who need to hear it because maybe it's the only way they can get any queer content because they can listen to it on their way to work or wherever. But there's a way that when you are seated with somebody, just like how you can't, I mean, I was about to say I can't have sex online, but people have it. But I can't imagine that it is. I can't imagine that it is as satisfying as when you can touch flesh.
Well, it's a different kind of satisfaction.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, but it's a different kind of.
I'm saying it's like an appetizer. And I want the whole goddamn.
But just
meal.
like we say, there's differences where a lot of younger people kind of live online or find themselves to themselves via online, but getting on the phone is a challenge, and that phone thing is the crossroads between being completely isolated and, like you're saying, flesh on flesh. So I don't know. I think it's difficult for people in this age, or rather, I'm not gonna say it's difficult. Creating community, I think, is looking different, and Yeah, and that's that. you know.
Yeah. Well, this is a great place to kind of go to our letter,
Oh yes, yes, yes.
because it kind of speaks about some of these same things that we've been talking about.
Okay, it's fairly short too, so I'll just read it real
Yeah,
quick.
I don't know if the person
Yeah.
has a name they want us to say.
Yeah, listen. Here's another reminder, y'all. If y'all got to tell us if y'all want a pseudonym or not, but we're gonna default to pseudonym unless you know, we ain't gonna, 'cause sometimes you
Yeah.
forget, like, oh damn, they said my name.
Right.
All right, so here is the letter. Our letter from the children, and you are lucky. We're gonna call you. We just gonna call you
JJ.
Harris. Okay, how about that?
Okay.
Because that's sounds unisex. Because honestly, I don't even know. All right, here we go.
We could just call it Tubman.
Okay, all right, Tubman.
I'm messing with you.
Okay.
You can see where I am these days.
All right, fuck it. We're gonna call you Harriet then. That's a little
Okay.
go between. All right, here we go, Harriet. All right. Have you ever had a twin flame? I am 28 years old, and I have known this woman for almost 10 years. The problem is we live in different countries. Whenever I visit her state or countries, I'm not sure that. Anyway, state, we always try to see each other. The last time being in 2018. Each time, it's almost as if we never were apart. We attempted a long-distance relationship a few years back, but I was obviously a lot younger. We have kept in touch through Instagram, but just recently reunited in the DMs. For over a month now, we have been in frequent contact. We are both mothers, co-parenting. I feel as if she is my future.
Lordy, Lordy, Lordy.
And there's an ellipsis after that sentence too. But but I guess we are apprehensive due to past relationships. I am planning to visit her for the weekend next month, and if it goes well, I am not sure how we would proceed. Her energy is very comforting. We are really trying to avoid becoming U-Haul lesbians, LOL.
It can't be U-Haul lesbians. This has been an ongoing situation.
Okay. It's very time sensitive to the U-Haul shit. All right.
Sorry,
all right.
Harriet, I don't mean to be.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I just realized, Harriet, maybe Red should have read this because now everyone can see your letter. Whoops. We'll figure that out in the end. I'm planning to visit her for the weekend. Okay, I'm sorry, back. But whatever level we choose to take it will undoubtedly be a big one. But hold on. Did I miss the damn question? Oh, I'm sorry, girl. But I feel we belong. Okay, I feel we belong together. So I guess my question is, how soon is too soon? Harriet. And sorry, Harriet, we just exposed your shit all wide open. Me reading it right there, and I forgot we were recording the screen. Whoopsie. We'll figure it out later. Anyway, so how soon is too soon? So it seems like Harriet. Okay, look, U-Haul lesbian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is very time sensitive. Usually, 1 to 2 weeks, maybe a month. You already moved in. But U-Haul is also, I kind of consider it this. It's almost like when you're dating online and then you actually meet each other. Because you're not in each other's presence for a real period of time, you can't make a true assessment if
you're suitable.
If you're suitable.
If you're, compatible.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it depends on how young you are, I feel like youth is made for jumping off of ledges.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you're young, you don't have nothing to lose. I mean, what the hell is going to be?
Now they both have kids, so now
they
we
both
bring
have
it.
kids?
Now, yeah, they both.
Did I miss that?
Well, they say they both co-parent. So I guess the father is not.
Oh, then your shit can't be U-Hauling at all.
Oh, yeah, you can't. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's too soon. But it also depends on like the nature of the interaction that you've had over these years. Have they met the kid already? Have you
have
met
the kids
their
met
kids?
each other? Yeah.
Have the kids met each other? Like, it just seems like whatever you do, even if it's fast, it has to be a conversation with a larger community because of those children. But before you get any further, it sounds like you're not sure, you haven't had conversation about what it is that you both want.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hear any sense of what this other person wants, only what you want.
Mm. And that is actually an ongoing theme that me and Red can attest to with letters. Because, with letters, sometimes you do write from just the, I, me.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times people fail to really, express or articulate where the other person fits in this larger picture, outside of from your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So we can only guess that. But, it seems like with her... letter, there's a lot of she's trying to reason a little bit, like, oh, we've done this, okay, yeah, we did have some time apart, rather we had a long distance relationship, but I was younger. Like, you're kind of looking on your past relationships, and you're trying to figure out, okay, is this right, is this wrong, okay, I'm going to visit her, I feel like she's the one for me. But
every relationship is a risk every single time.
Yeah.
No matter how much it feels like it's going to be okay, no matter how much it feels like, oh my God, we are definitely on the same page.
You're overthinking it.
Some red flags are more obvious than others, but every single time it's a risk and you don't know what's going to happen. So first you have to be all right with taking that risk and like working through what it means if it's not going to work and what your game plan is if it doesn't. Especially if you have kids or if you're navigating children, you have to know what's going to happen, what could happen, and have a game plan for, how to manage it.
Yeah,
and then, but before you even get there, you got to have long conversations with this person. Long conversations like, okay, I mean, maybe if it goes well, then you have a conversation and then you decide.
I totally agree with like bringing the other person's perspective into this, because what I'm gathering from the letter, like, is somebody planning on moving?
Well, she's
what does
visiting.
That look like?
And who's moving?
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Who is moving? What age are these children? Are they in school? If you're both co-parenting, what do these other parents have to say about the situation? Like, there's that conversation about the larger community really comes into play.
That's the word, community.
Yeah, everybody is now, well, not everybody, but everybody who is affected in this relationship needs to be considered. I recognize that that's something that I did not do well when I met my wife. I was like, I'm in love, we're moving, everybody pack your shit, get out. Everybody who was living with me, you gotta go, I'm leaving. Locked up the door and left. And the children were like, whoa, wait a minute. And so we still have conversations now, and I have to check in with them now about like, hey, I know that was kind of a struggle for you to just like leave your friends, move to the suburbs, like, and just that little thing, right? My children they are city kids, right? And so I moved them to the suburbs where they couldn't just hop on the bus and my son had a visceral reaction to being out here with the people who didn't know the things that he knew or lived the life that he lived. And so there's a lot that has to be a part of that long conversation that Staceyann is talking about. Like, you can't and you're saying different countries?
I'm not sure she said countries, then she said states. So maybe I'm not sure. Maybe she meant countries, figuratively. I don't know. Like, we live in two different worlds.
But she might have been coming to the States to see the person.
Oh, God. Now, listen, it's one thing to move to another state to be with someone. The whole thing to move to a whole different culture, like a whole different country,
Unless it's Canada.
It's taxing enough for the adult. Okay? Yeah. So, listen, we don't want to, basically, I think what we're all saying is that we're not trying to discourage you to do anything. Bottom line, whatever you fucking do, it's not really a timeline thing. You're going to do it, and you can try your best to get the kids ready. At the end of the day, they're going to have to come along. They ain't got no choice in the matter, depending on how old they are. You know what I mean?
But that part, the part you just said, like getting the kids ready, that's work. Just the same kind of work you're doing to get yourself ready now, you've got to do that for the children as well. No matter if it's fast or slow, that work has got to be done in order to let them feel considered.
Yes. But even if they don't like it, even if it's traumatic, even if they remember this shit and they bring it up 20 years later, oh fucking well. We all are a product of our parents' decisions. All they could do is do their best. And if anything, if you feel that you're following your heart, as long as you try, cover your corners. You know what I'm saying?
Do the best. A real connection,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with following your heart, even if all goes to shit and you got to move the kid back. Then that's just a story. That's an experience that you and your child that you've gone through. You know what I mean? So yes, as a mom, you want to protect your kids, but you also know as a mom, you can't always do that. And you also have to kind of feed your heart too, so you can be that better mom, theoretically speaking.
And the notion of protecting your kid, it's very dicey. You can't protect the kid, but you can prepare the kid.
Yes, ma'am.
So you just go ahead and make sure you're doing preparation all around. Because, when you have a kid, it's like you in one relationship with one person, you have two kids, you have two people you're in a relationship with. So this person that's coming along, they need to know that they're the third relationship you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta know that too.
Yeah. Having some play dates, like before y'all just try to go ahead and throw the whole family together, like
Mm-hmm.
meet each other, go to an amusement park. I don't know, like do some family like activities together, see how everybody gels. You might get around her and realize that you really don't like how she parents, and you don't want her parenting your
Ooh, we had a
child.
whole episode on that. Because Red is a part of a blended family. Her wife also came with kids. So, and they had to have those discussions on different parenting styles, and that was a very real thing.
Oh yeah, I mean it's real. And
Yeah.
even people who are seemingly aligned with each other, it comes up. Like I mean, bedtime. There's so many things to consider with a kid. So many angles to be aware of. That there's so many places where you can be, divergent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's okay. In fact, it's pretty good for the kids sometimes to have different parenting styles on them. And if you guys are willing to compromise, then it can be really, really good. But if you're not, it could be really, really bad.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is less of a question of is it soon, it's too soon. It's like basically are you
you
and the
ready?
kid ready? Yeah.
Are you prepared? Not
are you
ready.
prepared?
I don't
Yes,
know
are
if
you
you
prepared?
ever be ready,
Yes,
but like,
prepared.
have there been like
and have you considered every one and thing that it would take to even make that step to experiencing it together? Again, like all the stuff we mentioned.
They ain't gotta be happy, but they gotta feel considered.
Boom. They ain't gotta be happy because kids they adjust.
Yeah.
But yes,
they're not happy doing homework, and homework is good for them.
Yeah, exactly. So Harriet, so you can take it or leave it. But those things are important, especially if you're not just. It's not like even when you Red, you guys just moved to the suburbs. You're talking about bringing you and yours to an entirely different state or country, if we're understanding you correctly. So there are so many things you need to consider, and I think maybe that is where your energy should focus. Even in doing that, because you're not considering it alone. Honestly, you're considering it with this person that you have all these feelings for. So that honestly would be a good test. The planning and the preparation. Meaning that you guys are having, a lot of conversations about both of y'all kids, the logistics of it, the emotional, yin and yang of all of that, and even in that process, you will better understand each other as parents, as all the things that we're talking about now. You get a taste of it when you actually focus your energy on the task at hand. We're feeling each other. We want to be in the same place at the same time. What does that actually look like? So just starting that process, so you kind of get out of your head like, oh, is it soon, too soon? Like you seem like you're kind of in like, oh, I love her, I'm feeling her. We have all this energy from the past. That's cool, that's wonderful, it's a beautiful thing to dream about. But the logistics.
But that's only like foundational. That's like
one exactly,
aspect of your foundation.
Exactly. And so you can start really understanding how strong your foundation truly is when you actually get to planning with this woman. And preparing, as we're saying, preparation being the key.
And, and you should also like feel proud of yourself for making this first step by even having a conversation with, involving other people in the conversation, like listening. That's like great that you're like. It seems to me that you already know that it can't be like a slapdash. It can't be a quick like, okay, I'm waking up in the morning, I'm pulling everybody out of school, and everybody's going to go to like Turkey tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? It sounds like you are at least aware that it requires some consideration and some timing. So that's kind of cool. I mean,
beautiful.
I'm jealous of you and your new situation where you all hot in the panties and ready to roll.
Meanwhile, we swiping left and shit.
So you have the one up on us here with all of our pontification.
Exactly. Well, maybe that online love is going to work out eventually.
And you sitting up in the suburbs. Are you still in the suburbs?
I met her on Facebook.
Yeah, I met my girlfriend on Facebook too. But I guess Facebook got some positives about it. All right, so
even if they're lying and they like doing all kind of crazy shit with
with somebody's pictures. Yeah. Well, okay, that's a whole different
whatever. But that's a whole other show.
Yeah, exactly.
Stick it in there.
Page before they deleted it.
Exactly.
Right.
All right, y'all. We come to the end of the show.
Yes.
And it's been a beautiful show. I mean, first it's rare that I actually get to be in the same room with our guests. Usually all remote, but Staceyan's in Atlanta. Say again?
Now I'm jealous.
You know what I'm saying?
So we got to do it again then, and you got to, I got to be wherever you are in the suburbs. I mean, will
Ooh.
they can make room for Jamaican lesbians over there.
We got plenty of room.
But thanks, everybody.
It was good to see both of you. So good to see both of you.
Yes.
There's so many.
We only had an hour, but
and there's
mad history.
So many years, so many years of history. So many ex-girlfriends. So many arguments. Seen.
All right, y'all. You know the rigmarole. If you want to be a part, there are those of you who are watching us as we speak here. Because you know what, you're Sunday Brunch patrons. So if you too want to see, not just hear the podcast, but also get it 3 days earlier than everyone else, you can easily do that at patreon.com/yourgayaunties. It's only $10 a month, and we plan to have a long list of wonderful, incredible, brilliant guests, both girls and boys, and everything there in between. But we love our queer creatives, don't we? And speaking of which, we've been getting some good feedback about our new section, which we still have not named, but where we're highlighting young queer artists, whether you're in music or theater, poetry, if your work is audible, and we can actually showcase it here on the show. We want to know who you are, so tag us, DM us, email us, all that good stuff at Your Gay Aunties. That's on Instagram, that's on Gmail, yada yada bang bang boom. And last but not least, we always love you children, so send your letters to yourgayaunties@gmail.com. And with that being said, I am Hanifah Walida.
And I am Red Summer.
And I'm Staceyann Chin.
You're like, oh shit. And we are Your Gay Aunties. Later, y'all. Beautiful.